Welcome to Future Insight Technology. My name is Carla Thrower. I'm sure you've all heard about the exciting brand update in our welcome session this morning. Chess Cybersecurity has become CyberLab. I'm the Assistant Cyber Sales Leader at CyberLab, and this session is Smarter Security with Sophos. I'm happy to introduce Hal Morgan, Senior Sales Engineering Manager for North EMEA at Sophos. Hal, take it from here.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Carla. And thank you to CyberLab Chess for the invite, and thank you to all of you for attending today. I may be a new face to many of you, but actually I've been at Sophos for the last 4 years, but I was based out in Asia, and I have a career of over 30 years in networking and cybersecurity. And today I want to discuss smarter security and how that gets delivered as cybersecurity as a service. These results are from the Sophos 2023 Active Adversary Report for Tech Leaders, which we published last month. 90% of ransomware attacks occur outside the standard work hours. It means the attacker has more time to spread undetected. Ransomware dwell time is almost halved. The attackers are getting to work faster. And attackers are now taking, on average, only 16 hours to reach the crown jewels of your Active Directory. In other words, attackers are getting more successful. And this is at the time organizations are spending more money than ever on cybersecurity, increasing spend way ahead of inflation. So what is happening and what can we do to address it? Well, the way to address it is ensure 24/7 coverage with an experienced cybersecurity team so that you can act fast, delay the attacker, and slow them down in getting to achieve their objectives. In reality, achieving that is extremely difficult, and it's beyond most organizations, and understandably so. That isn't a criticism. Cybersecurity is not your core business. It's a must-have to enable your business to succeed. I'm sure you've got great teams of IT professionals who are working all the hours and beyond, but they're not cybersecurity full-time experts. Most organizations are now adopting cybersecurity as a service to address this critical business risk. And a couple of quotes here. So Gartner say nobody has enough people to do security. 451 research say the threat landscape is simply too big and complex. Cybersecurity as a service is a critical tool. There are 3 challenges that have led to the mainstream adoption of cybersecurity as a service. Let's start with challenge 1. Cyber threats themselves are accelerating in volume and sophistication all the time. 57% of organizations reported an increase in the number of attacks over the past year. 78% increase in the number of organizations hit by ransomware. If we drill into that, now, this is around active adversaries, and active adversaries are threat actors who adapt their techniques on the fly using real hands-on keyboard individuals. These are attacks, these attacks by active adversaries used to be saved for the most lucrative targets, but they've now become commonplace. Now, these attacks often result in devastating ransomware data breach incidents, and they're so hard to stop. These are growing and have become everyday attacks. Challenge number 2, there are just too many security tools, too many consoles, too complex, too many alerts. SecOps teams are drowning in alerts. They don't know which are the important ones and which are just noise. Just throwing more product at this is not going to solve the problem. On average, an organization has more than 46 cybersecurity monitoring tools in place. There has to be a smarter way of doing this. And the third problem is, if you're a central government agency, a major bank, or like Sophos, a cybersecurity vendor, it makes sense to build out your large cybersecurity team. But for most organizations, it's just not a good return on investment. To build out that team that has the range of deep cybersecurity skills, including threat hunting, incident response, security analysts, including 24/7 coverage, including holidays, shifts, sickness. That kind of investment doesn't come cheap, and it needs to make sense for certain industries alone. Now, addressing the situation requires organizations, if we think about it very simplistically, there are two things to do. There's, you want to slow down the attacker, the adversary, and you want to accelerate the defenders. A good analogy here is shields up. You know, a shield slows down an adversary, but no shield is impenetrable. It buys you time to detect an attack is underway, investigate, and understand the context and respond appropriately. Together, Sophos and CyberLab, Chess, deliver smarter security as cybersecurity as a service. How we do that is, if you look at this chart, Sophos provides the security to protect your environment. If you look across the top, we're protecting the identity elements of your environment: network, endpoint, email, cloud. The security control points on the left-hand side, those are the solutions that are slowing down the attackers. We have Sophos Endpoint Security, 13 years a leader in Gartner's Magic Quadrant. Sophos Firewall and our SASE solutions. Sophos Email Protection, extending that protection to the public cloud, where more and more of your servers are moving to become cloud workloads. On the right-hand side are a lot of the technologies and the services behind the scenes that are enabling our solutions to be as efficient and as effective as they are. There's Sophos XOps. This is an organization within Sophos that has 500 employees within it, 500 members of that team, including threat responders, threat analysts, threat hunters, AI scientists, threat researchers. It's a very, very skilled team. And because of our scale, we're able to invest and build out that team. But today, I'm going to focus on the bottom part of this slide, the threat detection and response elements, and particularly Sophos MDR, Managed Detection and Response. Sophos MDR is how we're delivering cybersecurity as a service. This is an instant security operations center providing the 24/7 threat detection and response for your organization. Includes the threat hunting, full-scale incident response capabilities, and there are some caveats around this, but breach warranty up to $1 million. Now let's think about this in action. On average, the Sophos Managed Detection and Response team responds to threats and detects and responds to threats within 38 minutes on average. To put that into context, the average internal SOC team takes 16 hours. Now, to make this a bit more real, and I'm not going to ask you to put this in the chat, just imagine it's Saturday morning, it's 2 a.m., an attacker has entered your network using stolen credentials they got from an initial access broker who tricked an employee via a phishing attack some weeks ago. Just have a think, how long do you think it would take your team to be able to detect, investigate, and respond to that? It's quite a scary thought when you consider it. But how do we achieve those 38-minute response times? Well, it's a combination of people, process, and technology. If we think of the people, well, it's not having people or even the quantity of people. It's having the right people. As this says, just putting a boxing glove does not make you a fighter. In the same way, technology alone doesn't make you a threat hunter and a threat responder. It takes years and years of experience to do that. The next part is the technology. Think how a typical attack unfolds. A phishing email is received. It's come through your email gateway. A user clicks on that link, which connects to a malicious server. It's going out through your web gateway, your firewall. The credentials compromised. An attacker then fakes their identity to gain access. Malicious tools get installed on the endpoint and server to gain a foothold. And the attacker then traverses your network to gain access to Active Directory or other critical assets. Many points in your organization's environment have been touched. Many security controls have seen a signal might be a very faint signal, but a signal of this unfolding attack. That's why it's very important within Sophos MDR, we're gathering these signals from a very wide range of security controls, some of which are Sophos security controls, but we don't limit ourselves to that. You may have invested in Microsoft security. That's fine. We gain great intelligence from Microsoft security controls. And I'm not going to list all of the solutions, but I'm sure you'll spot other solutions that are in your environment within this list of vendors that we are pulling security events from to give us that visibility. So the wide visibility is essential in actually knowing there's an attack underway. Once we've gathered those billions of events, then we have to filter it down to what are the events that really need investigation. So first of all, when we collect those billions of events, we enrich with threat intelligence coming straight from our XOps labs and from what we're seeing happening at other organizations around the world. We can then create context. We're clustering multiple events to see which attack is actually unfolding and where are we within it. We can then correlate those events across multiple security controls, multiple targeted assets to prioritize which are the most important to be investigated. And we can meet you where you want. So how we deliver this, it can be extending your team's availability, for example. Maybe your team wants to do everything 9 to 5, but it's outside those work hours that you need the extra help. Or it might be that your team wants to front everything, but you want to have that additional depth of expertise behind it. Or you may say, if it's 2 a.m. on that Saturday morning, Sophos, you take over, you do what's necessary and just keep us informed. It's entirely your call. Sophos MDR has been incredibly well adopted by the market. And we have today, and I have to check on numbers here, today we have over 18,000 customers using Sophos MDR alone. That is more than the next 3 competitors put together. We are leading this market. And while there's no Gartner Magic Quadrant for MDR yet, Sophos is the leading Gartner's customer choice vendor with more recommendations and a higher rating than any other vendor. And we're also the leader in the G2 quadrant when it comes to MDR. So just to summarize, the challenges facing cybersecurity defenders are tough. Sophistication and scale of attacks, overwhelmed by tools, hiring more staff with the right skills just isn't a viable option. Together, between Sophos and CyberLab, we're delivering smarter security through cybersecurity as a service. 18,000 organizations are already using Sophos MDR more than any other vendor. We'd love to discuss with you how jointly Sophos and CyberLab, Chess, can help you improve your security posture. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hal. We have a question from the chat. I'm currently using Microsoft Defender for security. Can I use Sophos MDR with it?
That's a very good question. Absolutely, yes, you can. There's no dependency on using any Sophos security controls right today to use Sophos MDR. We can gather, it's how we gather those signals. So we can gather extremely rich information from not just Microsoft Defender, but the broad range of Microsoft solutions. That then feeds into our Sophos MDR solution, which we then can use to detect and respond. So regardless of what endpoint security, firewall, email gateway, web gateway, et cetera, you're using, Sophos MDR can help on the detection and response elements of your security strategy. So yeah, great question. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks for your time, Hal. That was a great presentation. That's all we've got time for today. So if you want to learn more about security, please contact our team at CyberLab to book a consultation.